Hi everyone, welcome back to my floss tube. My name is Rachel, this is Lemonade Stitching, and today is my 2025 finish parade. Happy New Year everybody! Today is January 1st, 2026. I can't believe it's a new year already, but I thought I would jump on today to show you all of the finishes that I had in 2025. There are several that have not been shown on my channel yet because I didn't do a November or December floss tube update. And then also it's just a great time to kind of go through memory lane and see everything that I got done in the past year. So I have 37, if I counted right, 37-ish finishes to talk about today. Some of them are just finishes yet to be FFO'd or fully finished, like framed or turned into something. Some of them were gifts, so I'm just gonna have photos. And then some of them are framed and are on this wall behind me, in which I'm just gonna insert some like B-roll and photos and stuff because I'm not really in the mood to take everything off the wall. So without further ado, like I said, we have lots of projects to get through, so we are just gonna jump right in. I'm gonna be going in reverse order, so I know a lot of people will start at the beginning of the year and work their way to the end. I'm gonna start with my December finishes and work backwards, especially because the first 6 finishes have yet to be seen on the floss tube. So let's jump right in and get started. Also, I'm gonna have graphics going up as I introduce every project, so they're easy to screenshot, see what the project was supposed to look like before my customizations and stuff, and they'll have the designer and the name and all the things. So the last project I finished this past year was a Quaker Stocking by JBW Designs. I started this on November 9th and finished it on December 14th. And unless I say a year in this video, just assume it's 2025. Well, obviously they're all finished in 2025, but unless I say explicitly that I started it in a different year, assume it was also started in 2025. We'll get there eventually. So anyway, a Quaker Stocking. This was stitched on 30 count corn silk by Weeks Dye Works, and I stitched this 2/1 with Cinnabar Tudor thread by Gloriana, Tudor silk. And this is what it looks like. I am obsessed with it. And it's so teeny tiny. It's like 2 inches wide. And the fabric's kind of washing out, but it's very yellow in person. I never would have picked this yellow and red combination, but this was actually a wedding gift. And I am obsessed with how it came out. It was a labor of love with the Tudor silk and the over one and whatever, but by the end of it I had my over one stitching down pat. I learned mainly through stitching this, when I stitch 1/1, and I'm sure this is something that could help at least a couple other people, I really have to be mindful about my tension, because my biggest gripe with stitching over one is that my threads will slide under the linen. And it's so frustrating because, you know, they're under there and you can't get them out, whatever. So I really have to be mindful not to pull my stitches as tight as I normally would, and to just kind of slow down and barely pull on them. Like get them just barely tight enough and stop, or else, you know, they'll be buried under the thread. So I learned that. I also learned that it's helpful for me to just kind of like stick with the 1/1. If I'm bouncing back and forth, it's gonna be much harder to like maintain the correct tension that it takes to successfully stitch over one. But anyway, this was my Quaker Stocking by JBW. The only change I made to this was in this bird, but that was a mistake, so we don't have to talk about it. I should have put my initials in here and the date, but I didn't, so oh well. My next finish was called Ornament number 5, and this is from the Christmas Blues book by Rosewood Manor. This I started and finished on December 13th, and I did change it. I didn't use the called for floss that was in the book. I ended up using Dinky Dye's the color Ghost Gum, and then I used the called for Mill Hill beads, and I stitched it 1 strand over 2 on 32 count taupe Lugana. And this is how it came out. It's so pretty. I wish I had spaced it more towards the edge, but I had to start this like 4 times in order to get the back stitching and the size right and stuff. Because this one's entirely backstitch and beads, so there's no cross stitches in this. And at first I was trying to do a mix of back stitches and long stitches, but that just did not look right. And so I had started it back stitches and long stitches, and then I restarted it and like compared them. And so rather than restarting it again back in the corner where it goes, I just kept it and I was like, whatever. So here is my little snowflake. Eventually this will be an ornament, but I'm not FFOing it yet because I can fit several more on this fabric. So I'm gonna wait, do several more, possibly in this color, possibly in other color combos. But yeah, so that is my first ornament from the book. Definitely won't be my last. It was a really easy, like 1-day project. And when I bought the book, I bought the bead pack to go with it. So I've got everything I need to stitch some cutie little ornaments. And I also think these would be really easy to stitch again. Like I have no problem stitching that snowflake again now that I have my like 1 strand and my stitching pattern kind of down, and just having them in different colors. I think that would be really fun. My next finish was a gift, but I do have a photo to share with you. I actually posted it on Instagram, so you may have seen this already, but this is Proud Penguin by Mill Hill. I started this on November 19th and finished it on November 23rd. I used all the called for kit materials, and I gifted this to my in-laws for Christmas, and I finished it into a little Christmas ornament, and I put a little heart bead on the ornament hanger, and it came out really cute. And with no customizations, I don't have too much to say. I think I finished it with felt on the back, and it's just a Mill Hill kit, so nothing too complicated. My next finish was a big one, and this was like the only reason I was sad that I didn't get to film a floss tube in November or December, but I was just between Thanksgiving travel, finals, the Jingle Ball, Christmas travel, all just life. It just didn't work in the cards, and this project is the only reason I was sad about it. And this is Celtic Noel by Lavender and Lace. I started this November 15th of 2023, and I finished it November 23rd of this year. And I am so proud of this project. I love how it turned out. It is just probably the prettiest thing I have ever made. Here is an overview. I used all the called for floss, except I made a change with the metallic thread. And so I've talked about this a lot, so you might be sick of hearing about it already, but DMC metallic is so horrible. And that's a really common thing. A lot of people agree it's horrible. So by the time I got through the border, because I did all the borders before doing the dress and finishing the lady, by the time I got through the border, I was like, there's no way I can do another 2,000 stitches of this horrible floss. It just separates, it's hard to work with, it's bad. So I ended up switching to a Petite Treasure braid, and I think I wrote down the color, maybe not. Oh yes, I did. Petite Treasure braid 01. It's just a very basic gold color. You can't even tell that they're different. So the dress is the Petite Treasure braid and the border is the DMC. I don't think you can really tell. So that was one change I made. And then I used all the called for beads. The rest of the floss is called for. And I used a mix of DMC thread for the beading and invisible thread for the beading. The invisible thread I really only used on like the borders when I was, and then I'll show you on the back, it's easier to tell. I'm so out of practice and I have so much to say, I don't even know how to show it all. But I used the invisible thread on the back. You can kind of see that like whitish, and on the candles when I was carrying the thread behind the fabric so that you didn't see. But then in other areas, like in the dress, I just used, oh, no. know what I did. What a mess. Either way, I used a mix of DMC thread for beading and the invisible plastic beading thread. I mainly used the beading thread when I was constantly switching bead colors because if I had to individually like start and stop each color thread, I was gonna lose my mind. So in the borders, when there's like 3 or 4 colors of beads per medallion, I used invisible thread. And then in other areas, I matched the thread to the beads. And then in other areas, I matched the thread to the stitching. And so what I mean by that is like in her hair, she's got this like wreath. And I don't know if you can tell, but because they're supposed to be like sitting in her branches, I stitched the green and the red beads with green floss. So I know some people would use red floss to do the red beads, green floss to do the green beads. I did green for the whole thing, so they kind of blended in with the branches. I feel like I did that somewhere else too, but I don't remember where. Oh, in her wreath and like candles that she's holding, I did that. But anyway, doesn't really matter as long as the beads got on there. And I did also stitch all the beads straight up and down. So I did full crosses through every bead, which was crazy of me. But I really like how they lay rather than them being diagonal. So that made it about twice as long because I had to do a full, like 2 legs through each bead instead of just 1. But I'm really happy with how it came out. I'll do a little pan for you. I can't see the camera anymore, so hopefully this looks okay. But I am just obsessed with this. In several months, when I have saved up some money, my husband and I are going to get this framed together and pick out something really, really nice. We want this to be like a nice Christmas keepsake that will be on our wall and just, you know, give her the fancy frame that she deserves. So until then, it will be going in the project roll. Also, little note about the invisible thread that I remembered, thankfully, before I ironed it yesterday. Do not use a hot iron on the plastic thread or it will melt and break and then all the beads will be everywhere. I feel like I did that on something else where I used this thread, and so I went to iron this yesterday and I said, the plastic thread. So hopefully when I put her in the project roll, she will be as flat as she needs to be for the rest of her life, and she won't need to be ironed before she gets framed because she can't be ironed. She's past the stage where she can be ironed. We've got 2 more Christmas finishes. First up is the Santa Factory by Heartstrings. This one, I got this at StitchCon on the freebie table. I started it on November 9th and finished it on November 14th. I stitched this 2/2 on 32 count cookie dough. And I think I used the called for colors, if I remember correctly. 32 count cookie dough by Needle Bling Designs. And I didn't make notes about using different colors, so I'm assuming they are the called for. Actually, no, these definitely aren't the called for. I think I didn't bring the pattern up here, so that's slightly inconvenient. I have my list of colors, so I'll try and make a graphic if they're different. But if you're wondering exactly what colors I used, just let me know. I'm pretty sure I changed the colors so it would better match the cover photo because the DMCs when I pulled them were just different and weren't the vibe. So anyway, this is how it came out. I wanted it to look very similar to the cover photo and just like classic Christmas. I love him. He is supposed to have a little teddy bear charm right there. He doesn't have one because the teddy bear is impossible to find. It's an old glass Mill Hill charm that I have searched for 6 months on eBay and have yet to find it. I did buy a couple other charms at the LNS. I bought like a Christmas tree, a present, a bell, and I just haven't been able to commit to one yet, which is why he is holding nothing. Before I FFO him, I'll pick something, but I'm still calling it a finish because the charm will take 2 seconds to add on. So that is my Santa Factory. And this, I should say also, these I learned were a series, and so this is specifically Santa Factory October. I think it was like a year-long Santa series that they did. And my final Christmas whip is Merry Christmas by Hobby House Press, which is the designer under Hobby House Needleworks, the LNS in Rochester, New York. I started this December 25th of 2024 and I finished it on November 4th. I love how this project came out. I'm obsessed with it. I stitched it 1/2 on 40 count Overcast by Cedar River Linen, and I stitched it with Leather Bound by Cottage Garden Threads. I was able to pick out the color combo in person. I don't think the camera is going to do it justice, but it's just like the most beautiful neutral fabric with a deep, deep red, and I am obsessed with it. I have a full skein left of the Leather Bound and the other half of this fat quarter, and I'm like holding on to it and saving it. I'm like, I need the perfect project for it, but I really, really like it. And I got some velveteen while I was there for this Christmas so that I can FFO it into a pillow, just like the cover image, but obviously I didn't do that yet. So someday this will be a pillow. But now we have like 11 months before it's time to decorate for Christmas again, so no rush. But I love this one. It was really fun to stitch. The variegation in the Cottage Garden Threads is really, really nice. I've always loved my experience with Cottage Garden Threads. I wish they weren't in Australia so that it was easier to get, but I think they're worth the price. They're also bigger skeins. The color is nice, the variegation is nice. I have nothing bad to say. They're pre-cut. It's just wonderful. Anyway, that is Merry Christmas. I don't think there were any stitching mistakes in that, so it's perfectly symmetrical. The trees were really fun to stitch because I got to like find a good stitch pattern, and because it was a little tiring because it was so repetitive, but also the repetition made it fun because I was able to like get into a stitch pattern and like stitch, you know, I don't know. It was a good time. And I'm glad I got it finished in under a year. Okay, finish number 7. We're into October finishes. So we're starting out with a fall spooky finish. This is Spooky Haunted House by Pocket Mama Shoppe. I started this September 19th and finished it October 24th. I love this one. The called for image was on purple fabric. I didn't have a purple that I liked, so I chose to use 36 count brown sugar by Fiber on a Whim. And I said in my floss tube that it was a swampy haunted house instead of like a electric purple haunted house. So I did use the called for DMC and it came out really, really nice. I stitched it 2/2, I think, so that I would get those nice, bright, bold colors. And yeah, I would like to finish this into a hoop, I think. But again, by the time I finished it, there was no need to hurry and FFO it because all the Halloween decorations were coming down. So maybe next year this will get finished into a hoop. But I really like this. And Sarah Ann, who is Pocket Mama Shoppe, has a really cool floss tube as well. So definitely check her out. She's got some other designs in her Etsy, and she also just makes really, really high quality floss tubes. So definitely check her out. She is one of my faves. My next finish is Love Gains by Monofolk Embroidery. This is my wedding sampler, and I finished it on my honeymoon. And it wasn't originally my wedding sampler, but it just kind of became my wedding sampler. It's literally called Love, so you know, whatever. I adopted this whip from Megan the Seattle Stitcher on June 12th of this past year and finished it on October 22nd on my honeymoon. It's stitched 1/2 on 36 count oyster shell by Fox and Rabbit. and it uses Mystic Pool Dinky Dye silk, and it is absolutely stunning. It's this beautiful purple on purple. The Quaker medallions were so fun to stitch. The 1/2 with the silk was a breeze. I stitched a lot of this in hand actually, and I just love it. It's stunning. Here's a close-up, and the quote is a Noah Kahan song lyric. So it says, "Everywhere, everything, I want to love you till we're food for the worms to eat, till our fingers decompose, keep my hand in yours." And it's a little weird, like out of context, but we love Noah Kahan, we love that song, and so it was just perfect for us. When I started the sampler, and I like had recharted the words, I started by stitching worms in the center, just to make sure that I had the spacing right. Worms was like I found the center of the quote, and then I found the center of the area on the fabric, and I just, you know, lined it up, started there, so it all lined up. And worms just happened to be the middle. I think it was like the edge of the W. And so until I finished the Quaker medallions, it just said worms. So it became my worm sampler. So now it's got like a nice little triple meaning, I feel like, behind it. But I love this. This is another one that will have a really special frame. I'll probably just frame it at Hobby Lobby because we have a gift card to Hobby Lobby. But we're going to pick out the frame and stuff together and whatnot because this one is special as well. So that is Love Games. Okay, I've got another Halloween-esque finish. This is Apothecary Shoppe by the Witchy Stitcher. I adopted this from Cam at Cam the Stitcher on June 11th and finished it on October 4th. I did cut out the border. Well, technically Cam cut out the border and I kept the decision to not do the border because I want to get like a nice ornate black frame, which I think is what Cam wanted to do too. So rather than stitch the border and have to get it like laced straight, I'll just get a fun frame, and then it's okay if it's not perfectly straight because it's just this fun little sign. So the linen deserves its own moment on this one. It's 40 count Bronze Age, and it's stitched 1/2 with 310, and Bronze Age is a Bestitch Me fabric, so it's really, really pretty. It's a little out of my comfort zone, but like close enough to my comfort zone that I was like, yeah, I'll stitch that. So here is Apothecary Shoppe. Super fun. Again, I wasn't gonna hurry to FFO it to show it for like a week, so it'll go up for the 2026 fall season. But yeah, that is Apothecary Shoppe. The linen on this is so good. I'm sad that it is spaced like this because I would use it for something else, but that's okay. Next up, ooh, I have a couple like FFOs to show next. So my next FFO is the Stitcher. This one is by Sandra Sullivan, and I actually got this on the StitchCon freebie table this year. It's one of the ones that's hanging behind me. She is framed in a 8x10, one of those really cheap, like you like press the photo in from the front frames. I thrifted it for like $1, maybe less, maybe 50 cents. But she is super cute. I used a Roxy Floss conversion. So if you're interested in that, I think I already posted a graphic on it, but if not, let me know. It would be on my conversions highlight on my Instagram. But I stitched it on just like a random 32 count green piece of linen, and it's like a greenish neutral, I should say. And then I used 4 colors from Roxy Floss. It was a light, medium, and dark green, and then an off-white. The original is charted in like browns, and so I think it'd be really easy to switch into any color palette you want. You just need a medium, light, medium, dark, and then a whitish, neutralish color. So yeah, I was able to thrift all the buttons and charms that I put on there, which was awesome. And I customized it so that it has my birth year on there. And I think that's it. I kept the quote the same. I didn't add my initials explicitly, but yeah, and it's just like laced onto some mat board. There's probably batting in it. Nothing too crazy. I wanted to get it up with all the charms and stuff. I just wanted to get it up and on the wall. So someday it'll get a better frame, maybe a mat. We'll see. My next finish is the Pocket Sampler by Heart and Hand, and this is the dad version. I know they have a couple other versions, but this one I was able to get at the L&S for literally $1. It was just in their like dollar bin. And so I started it on September 15th, finished it on September 17th, and this was a Christmas gift for my dad. I stitched it on some 32 count taupe Lugana 2/2, and I used just a stash color conversion. Again, I kind of went based off the cover image and just used what I had. It was a lot of color and cottons, as well as some I think 2 Gentle Arts, if I'm reading this correctly. I don't think I made a color conversion graphic for this one, but if you're interested, let me know. I had to use 32 count fabric because of the charms. I had to make sure it would fit. So I just used the taupe Lugana that I had in stash. It is literally less than a 3x3 square. I was able to get a custom mat for it at Hobby Lobby for like 10 bucks. Popped it all into a 5x5 off the shelf frame. Did the lacing and stuff myself. They only cut the mat for me. That was the only thing. And that was that. It was a really sweet little Christmas gift for my dad. My next project is actually an FFO that I get to hold up and show you. So this is ABC Tin Topper by Samplers and Such. I started this and finished it on November 6th, and I actually made a project vlog to go along with this because I FFO'd it into a little travel cross stitch kit. So I have this hot pink tin that I got from Tiger Lily at StitchCon, Carrie at Tiger Lily Designs, and then I used some hot pink cottage garden threads in the color Ruby. I used a 36 count scrap linen, and I just stitched it really quick, added my year and initials. I added, it was technically before the wedding, but it was like a month before the wedding, so I did my married last name instead of my maiden name, and I just finished it into this cute little travel stitching case. So if you're interested on the details behind this, I have a video. I'll link it for you. I think it's a fun vlog. I don't know, you might enjoy it. If you're interested in doing something like this, or even just like what I have in the travel case, check out that video. And this is my hot pink little stitching tin. Next up is Delft Blooms by Sprouting Lupine. This was finished, or I'm sorry, this was stitched from June 29th, 2024 to August 15th, 2025. And this was actually part of my whip exchange with my friend Bridget, the museum stitcher, Cam from Cam the Stitcher, and Elizabeth from Frizzy Lizzy Stitches. I stitched this on 32 count Mercedes Picture This Plus Lugana with the called for DMC threads. And the whip exchange program, basically we each picked a whip that we weren't working on, and we did like a round robin style, but instead of all working on the same project, we worked on each other's projects. So I did some of this, my friends did a lot of it, and then I finished it when I got it back this past August. So this is Delft Blooms. This will most likely become a project bag, and I am saving the other half of this linen to maybe do Delft Beetles, which is like the companion piece. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But this is Delft Blooms. At one point I was gonna do a project bag with this pattern on one side and Delft Beetles on the other. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll do 2 separate project bags. Now I have no idea. I have no idea, but this is how it turned out. I really liked the blue on blue, but it was not my favorite to stitch. Next finish. This is Strawberry Naps by Lindy Stitches. I started this on June 13th at StitchCon, I think, for or I guess right after StitchCon maybe. This was for the Strawberry Moon Sal, and this I finished on August 1st. So I did change the colors in this. I knew I wanted to keep it on a pink fabric because that's what's in the cover photo. But then I ended up switching pretty much all the colors. I used Dinky dyes for the leaves as well as the strawberries. And then I used DMC, I don't remember what DMC is, the gray one. Or maybe I didn't write it down. I don't know. I have a vlog about this one too, so, or it's in a vlog. I want to say 535, but I didn't write it down, so I don't know for sure. But I can tell you the Dinky dyes were Acacia, Pindi, and Pilbara. Basically a dark green, a yellow green, and a red. So anyway, this is my strawberry naps. I made my cat gray to look like my cat Lucy Gray, named after the Hunger Games character. What is that? Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And she is so cute. I added her name. I just found some letters on Google Images, I'm not gonna lie. And just backstitched that on there. Sorry, I can't see what's going on. And I'm getting shaky because I need to eat lunch. But Lucy Gray, I put her name on there under the grass. And she is just laying in the strawberry patch. She spends most of the day sleeping. She is my sleepy girl. So this actually fits her personality quite perfectly. So I'm really happy with this. This is another one I want to do probably a hoop finish, like an oval hoop. The frame that the model is stitched in is like $45, I think. I don't know. I just remember it being expensive. So I don't know. This one is also like a weird oval size, so I wasn't able to find a frame easily. So I might, if it's still available, I might buy the frame that it calls for. I don't know. All I can say is, I don't know. My next finish, also from Strawberry Moon Sal this year, is June by Crochet A Go-Go. I started this June 14th, finished it July 30th, and this is part of their Window in Time series, which has one little thing for each month. I think I have like 2 or 3 more in the series. I was gonna finish it in 1 year, and now it's been like 3, so who knows. But this one was super cute. It's a mix of called for colors and stash colors. I kind of stopped keeping track on these, but I kept it close to the original. At this point, I feel like I have DMC of most of the called for colors because a lot of them call for similar colors, but I just went off the cover photo if I didn't have the called for color. So here it is one more time because it's so cute and summery. Next we have more FFOs, or I guess one FFO. And this is Kindred Friends. This was the StitchCon exclusive this year by Heart and Hand, and it was started on June 15th at StitchCon, I think. I feel so late. Was StitchCon really on the 15th? Anyway, I started June 15th, finished it July 27th, and I have FFO'd it into a project bag. Don't look too close because it's covered in cat hair. Also, this was my first time experimenting with my free motion quilting foot. So it looks a little goofy, but I really like the bag. It's this really pretty, like, I don't know, is it cotton? Is that the flower on here? But I don't know. It's just a pretty blue fabric. And then I have this pretty, like, tan and blue fabric that I felt like went well with it. And my stitching is here on the front. I think I did a pretty good job stitching this on and keeping it straight. Pretty proud of myself. This is a bag from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Her, what does she call this? Easy quilted, folded bag. I don't remember exactly. But it's from her, and then I did copy Maddie. She also finished hers into a project bag, so then I was like, yep, I'm gonna do that too. And I'm pretty sure the lining is the same as the binding, that like tan and blue flower. So that is Kindred Friends. I pulled from Stash for this one just based on the cover image and vibes, and just used what I had. It was so small, there was no point in buying thread for it. I don't even know if I kept track. Oh, I did keep track of the floss I used, so if you're curious, let me know. And I don't remember if I said it, but I stitched 2/2 on 32 count cookie dough, which is the called for fabric. I did buy the fabric for it at StitchCon. They were selling 8 cuts, and this, I have actually gotten 3 pieces out of that 8th cut of cookie dough, and I have enough to make at least a 4th, if not a 5th, depending on how big my 4th project is. So great use of that $16 piece of linen, if you ask me. Okay, where are we at? We're like I think we're over halfway. I don't know. Next up is Marshmallow World. This was my Christmas in July finish this year, and this is by Heartstring Samplery. It was a Jingle Ball exclusive in 2024. I started it at the Jingle Ball on December 7th of 2024, and I finished it July 24th of this year. I did a mostly Cottage Garden Threads conversion because I wanted to start it right away, and I had the perfect fabric in Stash. So let me give you the details on it. Let me show it to you, and then I'll give you the details. So here is the fabric. It's stunning. It is Blue Ridge by Atomic Ranch, 36 count. It's a gorgeous like sky mottled blue. And then I don't think you can see it in the camera, but there are snowflakes in the sky. It's just hard to see when it's far away. And that is all stitched in 3865, all the snow on the bottom as well as the snowflakes. And then there are supposed to be like little single stitches and groups of 4 stitches in the sky, but I did beads instead. So let me fold this so I can get it up close to you. But basically for the single stitches I used white beads, and then for the cluster stitches I used like a translucent shiny bead. So that is the sky. I think it is such a fun touch, and I love it. And then for the rest of the floss I used Cottage Garden Threads leftovers from In the Library by Mojo Stitches. And so I do have a graphic on this. I know for a fact I do. I think. I'm pretty sure I remember making a graphic for this. But I basically just used what I had and made it work with the Cottage Garden Threads because, yeah, I was like, I need to start this today. I bought it and immediately started it. So that is Marshmallow World. And again, this will probably get framed and hung up for Christmas in 2026. Oh, we're into FFOs now. This is exciting. So first up is Takin Inventory by Cam from Cam the Stitcher. Get my Mary Poppins bag out again. This I FFO'd in a vlog this summer. She designed this for our friend group at StitchCon, and then ended up releasing the pattern to the public. And I stitched this with, basically as she charted it, with some Silks for You from Amity and Erin, the Hathaway Stitchers. And I just stitched it on a random piece of 32 count blue Lugana. And I stitched it 2/2, added my initials and the year, and this is how I FFO'd it. It's something for sure. But it's fun. When I have a craft room with shelves, it'll be on those. Maybe I'll add it to my gallery wall. Is that too much for the gallery wall with the ruffles? Feels like too much. I don't know. But I wanted something fun and obnoxious, or like gothic. I don't know. This is so not my style, but like I did it anyway for the friendship. so I wanted something fun and different for the finish. So I did this like black ruffly, the pink tinsel, and I just mounted it on like there was like a saying or something on this from Hobby Lobby. It was $2.79, so I really splurged. But yeah, that is Takin Inventory. Super fun pattern. I think it's still on her Etsy and her Ko-Fi. If it's not free, I feel like it's like $2. I don't think it was a lot. Maybe $4? I don't know. It doesn't matter how much it is because that can change over time, but I know she put it up for sale. Takin Inventory. Next, I have Berry Jam Jar, which is another Mill Hill kit. This I stitched at the Indy 500 this year, which was super fun. This was my second year going to the 500. My first year bringing cross stitch with me. But I'm very glad I did because I didn't really want to drink and we're outside all day. The first year I went, I brought a book, but this year I didn't really have anything to read or anything that I wanted to read. Oh, I bent it. Sorry, I had to find it in my bag of goodies. Anyway, I didn't have anything I wanted to read, so I got a Mill Hill kit instead. And I think I finished all the cross stitches at the 500, and then I just did the beading after the fact. I did bring a sticky bob, one of those like plastic cases that you can put your beads in, just in case I did beading there, but I just didn't end up finishing it in time. So I started it on the 25th, which was the day of the Indy 500, and I finished it June 13th, and I need my little board. I didn't put a backing on this yet, mainly because I haven't decided if I want it to be a magnet or an ornament or what. But this is what it looks like, just all the called for stuff, super cute, and someday it'll be FFO'd. It's cut out, obviously. It just needs, I just need to decide what it's gonna be when it grows up, and I haven't done that yet. So that is Berry Jam Jar. Next up, I'm gonna have to put in a picture of this one because I did not bring it in here. But this is my star t-shirt that I made on June 4th and 5th in preparation for StitchCon. I wanted something hand stitched that I could wear. So I basically found a star on one of my Blackbird Designs patterns, did it 5 times in a row in a little color palette that I liked with some 14 count waist canvas, and that became my t-shirt. So I used 3 strands of DMC on the 14 count waist canvas, and I just eyeballed where it was gonna go on the t-shirt, to be honest with you. I did not spend a lot of time measuring. I wish it was down slightly more, but it's okay. But yeah, so this is my t-shirt. I wore it at StitchCon. I think I've worn it to 1 or 2 other stitching things this year since making it. But right now it's winter, so it has not gotten a lot of wear in the last couple of months. Okay, next up, another Blackbird Designs. Again, I finished this in time for StitchCon. Thank goodness, because I love it. And this is Experience Leland. It's from their A Stitcher's Journey book. I started this on May 26th, finished it on May 30th. This one, I did change the colors because the called for colors did not match the cover photo at all. So I pulled from Stash and was able to get something that was closer to the cover than the called for. And I think that's just as colors change over time, or I don't really know. I find it hard to believe the colors could change that much, but it doesn't matter because I have my color conversion up on my Instagram if you're interested. But basically, I stitched this on a 36 count piece of linen, just something from Stash, 1/2, and I finished it on my stitching case. So I customized it with my initials and my birth year, and I am obsessed with it. It is so pretty. I get compliments on it every time I take my stitching case out, and I put it on here so that when I open it, it's like facing up for the people sitting across from me. We're not going to talk about my stitching case right now because it's a disaster, but this is it. This is the stitching. I just glued it on with E6000 glue and it looks great. I love it. The colors came out perfectly. I think it matches the cover photo really, really well, and I'm really happy with it. And I'm happy I was able to find thread to make it work. I was really discouraged when I pulled thread for this and it didn't match because I was like, that's not the same at all. That's not the same at all. But it all worked out in the end. So that is Experience Leland. Okay, another StitchCon related finish. I did a lot of stitching in preparation for StitchCon. But this is my name tag. And this is FFO'd. Honestly, it needs to be relaced because my mat board is a little big and it's kind of crooked. But this is my name tag. So Bridget, the museum stitcher, made us like fabric name tags this year. I don't remember the pattern designer, but I know Bridget talks about it on her channel. And she gave us the option, like she would pick fabric for us, or if we had specific fabric, we could send that to her. So I sent her this green and beige fabric because it matched my stitching case and a project bag that I made. And so then I was able to coordinate my name tag to the fabric. So I will take it out so that it's easier to see. But basically, this is a pattern from Elizabeth at Frizzy Lizzy Stitches. It's very quickly laced onto this piece of mat board. And it just says, hello, my name is Rachel, and it has my Instagram. So I ended up stitching this with, I will tell you, I stitched it in one day, May 18th. And I stitched it on a 32 count light mocha with DMC 3787 and 612. And then I used gold Krynic for the hearts in the corner. It's hard to tell, but they are sparkly. So that is that. The 3787 is the green that I did all the letters in, and then the 612 is the tan border. Obviously, it's not laced super well. It's kind of crooked. I actually stitched this while waiting in line at StitchCon to get into the stitching room because I wanted to wait till I had the name tag to do it. But it all worked out. So that is my name tag, and I love her. And I need to keep her out because I keep meaning to bring this like when I go places and stitch. But it's like usually packed away, so I keep forgetting. So I need to bring this with me when I go to stitch nights and stuff. Next up, we have My Flowers by Boomerang Stitches. This is another one I did a big color conversion for, and I also have a project vlog up on my channel if you're interested in like the details and behind the scenes. But basically, I did a stash conversion. Let's slow down. I stitched this March 29th through May 11th. And I used a stash conversion. I used 36 count Dunes by Fiber on a Whim. And then I chose a palette of 7 Dinky dies and just kind of coordinated the colors so that I liked all the different color pairings. And this is how mine came out. So it's really fun and funky and different. And in the vlog, I show you how I stained this. It's like a wood frame from Michaels, how I laced it on here, and also how I styled it. I got some flowers that coordinate, and I usually have them like blooming behind the frame. But right now it's down because it's winter. So here is my flowers. I really, really like it. I'm really happy with how it came out. And it is stitched 2/2 so that the colors were nice and bold. I love this chart. I was obsessed with it since Amity posted it, and so I was happy when I finally was able to commit to some colors and post it. Or stitch it. I don't care about posting it. I just wanted to stitch it. Next up, I have a Snail Mill Hill kit. This one I stitched on a trip to Florida from May 1st through May 5th. I got this, I think it's the cross stitch cupboard is the Fort Lauderdale LNS, but I just stitched this completely according to the pattern and the kit materials, and I did finish this one into a magnet. The backing is a manila folder, actually. You can also see I clipped it with wonder clips, so it's kind of funky, but I just glued the magnet on, and it's a cutie little magnet. It lives on my fridge. For Mill Hills, I know a lot of people use a lot of different things: paper, cardstock, felt, cardboard, all the things. And to be honest, the only thing that like determines what my backing is going to be is whatever I grab first. It's like whatever is closest to me is what my backing for my Mill Hills it turns out to be. So I don't think there's a wrong answer on that, as long as the color isn't insane. But also if the color is insane, who cares? It doesn't matter. Okay, next up, I've got several more gifts. So first up is gonna be a gift for one of my friends. She loves golf, and she asked me to stitch this gnome for her. It's just from Etsy, so the name of it is 2018 Caddy Gnome The Masters. And basically it's modeled after what the caddies were wearing at the Masters in 2018. So I stitched this from April 19th through April 22nd. I used a 28 count green even weave that I had in stash with all the called for colors, and I put it, I know I took a picture of it in a frame, but I don't remember if I gave her that frame or if I kept the frame and made her frame it herself. But I know I laced it for her because I think it turned out to be like a 5x7 size. So I put it in the frame to take a picture of it and make sure the lacing was good. And then I gave it to her, and her roommate were picking out a frame themselves that like better matched their decor. So that was my little gnome that I stitched, and that was really easy. I stitched most of it in hand because it was just block stitching, and it turned out really good. Next up, excuse me, I have 7 finishes in one. So this is a gift I made for myself and then all of my friends. And these were my little StitchCon table gifts. And they were bag charms, personalized bag charms. So this is mine. And the pattern, let me put up the pattern thing. It's Rosemary Pinkeep by Blackbird Designs. And I stitched mine in February of this year, but then I stitched the other 6 in April, like over the course of 2 days or 3 days. It was insane. But maybe 4 days. I don't know. Maybe a week. Doesn't matter. I talk about it in my March or April floss tube. But anyway, I stitched all these little pin keeps. And I did custom colors for all my friends: Bridget, Marjorie, Megan, Cam, Maddie, and Elizabeth, based on their personalities and favorite colors and stuff, and also their Land's End tote bags, because we all have matching Land's End tote bags pretty much. So I stitched them all these custom bag charms. Again, this is mine. Obviously, it's the only one I still have. And for theirs, I stitched them with just like plain linen, I think. Let me see. I did them all in the same fabric, but for theirs, I did their first initial, and for mine, I did my married last initial. So mine's an H, the rest of them are, you know, MC, whatever. So they're really pretty. I'll put up some pictures so you can see, but mine, if you're interested, the colors were DMC 3787 and Blue Heron from Weeks Dye Works. And I think I did all the backs the same backing fabric as well. I just did like a needlepoint-esque flat finish, made custom cording with whatever the colors were in the stitching, and I love them. They're super cute. Mine lives in my Land's End, and then when I take my Land's End to stitching events, I put it on the Land's End because I do not trust my cats to not eat it off of the bag. And I don't have a place to put the bag where the cats won't eat it. So that's my bag charm. Speaking of my Land's End bag, the Land's End bag is a finish in and of itself. This is Crafty Goose by Elizabeth at Frizzy Lizzy Stitches. She released this small in March of this year, and so I stitched it from March 12th through March 14th. I think I changed the colors. I don't know exactly, but either way, I stitched it on my tote bag, and this is my stitching tote that I take with me everywhere. I have a dream of putting more stitching on this bag, but it's kind of hard to stitch on, so I don't know if that'll ever happen. So for now, we just have this. I have a picture that I can put up of Elizabeth and I got to show her the bag in person, and it was really fun. I really liked it. Well, I shouldn't say I really liked it because it was horrible to stitch, just because of the waist canvas and stuff, but I really like the finished product. Okay, I've got to hurry through these next few because my camera's gonna die, but I only have 4 projects left. So these are all, or then whatever. Well, I did not make it before the camera died, but that's okay. Got some lunch, took a break, and we're back. We're gonna finish up. Like I said, we've only got a couple left. So my next whip is Friendship Gathering by Blackbird Designs. I started this June 15th, 2024 and finished it February 16th of 2025. This is an out of print chart, but I love it. I couldn't resist. I did a color conversion, and I have a graphic up on my Instagram if you're interested, but I basically just picked stash DMCs that looked like the cover, and it worked out. I've got it framed up on the wall, so I'll be putting some pictures up there. It's got a green frame. It's really, really pretty. And I love how this one turned out. It was really fun to stitch, and I just really like it. My next finish was another Blackbird. February was like my Blackbird Designs month. I had like 4 or 5 Blackbird projects going. It was great. This one is Light Upon the Lawn, and it's from the Loose Feathers for the Bird series. I started this December 1st, 2024 and finished it February 11th of 2025. I had a really good time stitching this. I stitched it 2/2 on Weeks Dye Works Gray, which is just like a really dirty neutral linen. And I did a full color and cotton conversion when I went to the color and cotton store in October of 2024. And I do have a graphic for this one up on my Instagram as well. And this is what it looks like. I tried to stay really, really, really true to the called for colors. And just did a 1-for-1 color and cotton conversion. I still have this on the full fat quarter fabric because there are some other designs in this series that I want to do, and I'm not necessarily doing them as one piece. I didn't get enough big enough piece of fabric for that, I don't think. But I do like, I don't know, I haven't completely decided whether or not I'm going to do them on the same fabric, so therefore I'm just not cutting this until I figure that out, because it'll save me, you know, a couple inches if I can stitch them while they're both on here and I don't need quite as much margin in between. So that is the Light Upon the Lawn. And there's an R in the middle of there. I don't know if you can tell because of the camera washing it out, but it is an R for Rachel. Oh, and I put 2024 on there at the bottom. I didn't even notice that. Cute. Obviously I put that on there before I finished it because I finished it in 25. Okay, next up, another Blackbird. This is the last Blackbird. This one is My Heart's Design by Blackbird Designs. I started this February 1st and finished it February 8th. I stitched this with my friend Bridget, the museum stitcher, and I did a full color conversion. So I put up a picture of like the cover photo. It's called for on a neutral linen, and it's got like blues and greens in it. It's really pretty, but I did a full stash conversion. I did 32 count Cypress by Fiber on a Whim, and I did like a pink and brown color conversion. It was really fun. I again will insert some footage because this one is up on the wall right there. And she has a really, really pretty like dark brown frame, and these are all custom frames that are up on the wall, so just a custom dark brown frame. And I'm really, really happy with how this one came out as well. I'm trying to remember how I customized this one. I put Graham's initials as well as my initials, GH and RL, And then I did the year 2025. And I think everything else was as charted, like with the one for one conversion. I did the over one stitching. Yeah, pretty much as charted except for the colors. Okay, my last finish was a big one. It was the first one of 2025, and I posted a Foster about it. It was a finish 10 years in the making. This was an old Busilla kit called Summer Symphony. I started it at some point in high school. I'm estimating it to be 2015, but I don't have an exact start date or anything. And this was stitched completely with the kit materials, kit Ada, kit floss. And I finally finished it January 1st, no, not January 1st, January 30th of 2025, and I FFO'd it into a project bag. This is how it turned out. I love it. It's been really fun to have it as a project bag and be able to see my stitching. Part of me wishes I had framed it now that I have this gallery wall. I still could. The other regret I have about this bag is that I didn't line the back. I am 99.9% certain I lined the stitching, but I don't think I know I didn't line the backing fabric. So the bag is just like, has no, like it has shape on the front, but like no shape on the back. And it just is a little irritating, but that's okay. I still love the stitching. It's gorgeous, and I'm happy to have it done and be getting use out of it since it sat alone for so long in my sad basement, my sad childhood basement. So here she is. Summer Symphony. All right, well, those are all of my finishes. I still didn't count, so I don't know. I feel like I remember seeing 37 though when I was prepping for the video. Either way, doesn't really matter. That is everything that I have to share with you today. Thank you for sticking around. I have no idea how long this video is because I had to pause and, you know, you film the same thing 4 times because you hate how it goes. So thank you for sticking it out if you did. If you're new to my channel, I realized I didn't introduce myself in this video. But I filmed my whip parade right before this, so if you haven't watched that yet, go check out that video, and I do a little introduction in there just about kind of like who I am. I know whip parades are, you know, it's easy to find new people from like whip and finish parades, so go check out my whip parade if you want to learn a little bit more about me. And then I also have like an about me post on my Instagram if you're interested. Probably needs to be updated, but it's there. It's a start, and then, you know, whatever. Okay, I have talked enough today, probably going on like 2 or 3 hours of talking, so I'm going to end the video here. Thank you again for watching. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. You're keeping warm and safe wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.